It is the only podcast that broadcasts 438 miles between each other. That's 6 hours and 45 minutes between Lubbock and College Station. We are turning 10 today. It is the fifth quarter with Desmond and George. This is episode number 10, and I'm George Koff again. Welcome into our podcast alongside my friend Desmond. Good morning, Desmond.
Good morning, George.
It is Wednesday, November the 7th. Again, we have another Wednesday upload as we going to break down the second week of the college football playoff rankings, which we didn't see much shakeup in the top four, but did see some shakeup below that and some surprises, especially with West Virginia, UCF, and LSU. But I think before anything, we got to get into it first and talk about some of the our schools, College Station and Lubbock. So, Desmond, you ready to get into it?
I am so ready, George. Let's get this.
Let's get this. Okay, so A&M went on the road to Auburn, and I think it's pretty appropriate to say they laid just a goose egg. They had dominant performance in the first half, outgained them in time of possession, rushing yards, total yardage, passing yardage, I think as well. Maybe not, but just totally were playing perfect until the fourth.
No, they got outpassed.
Okay, they did get outpassed, but playing into the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden you just can't. They squander a 10-point lead, and I just don't understand. We're inventing new ways to lose. We're looking at this and going, you can't go into the fourth quarter down or up 24-14 and lose 28-14. That just doesn't. You have to get a point at some point in the fourth quarter, and they had a chance with that chip shot field goal that Seth Small missed, and then of course it doesn't help that Mon throws a late pick that ultimately leads to the game-winning touchdown. I don't understand. Any thoughts?
Well, George, I actually did watch this game. My brother-in-law, who is an alumni from A&M, watched it, and he was just devastated after the loss. Honestly, this is back-to-back losses that I think both games y'all should have won.
Agreed. Agreed.
Both SEC teams, yes, but not strong SEC teams. You see, I made them outscored 42-14 second half last two games. You can't have it, man. You got to finish strong in the games. I said the cons of your game was obviously second half scoring, gave up 5 sacks.
That doesn't help either. When you can't protect
exactly.
on your O line, which we can do in the run game. We can do that every day. Give Trevion Williams a hole, he's going to run it up the middle. He had that 30.
Well, he's becoming a good running back, by the way.
He had that 38-yard touchdown that made Auburn look silly, and then all of a sudden the O line just collapses in the second half.
It's not your line, it's your secondary, because y'all held Auburn to under 30 yards rushing, which is very good. As I said, the rushing game is a huge game, especially a part of the SEC. So your line's not the problem; it's your secondary.
Agreed. And again, our secondary we're still playing off of what Sumlin left us with, which is not great to say the least, and now you're looking at it and saying, well, how are we going to recruit guys if nobody wants to complain? See, the secondary is garbage. I mean, you can recruit and say, oh, we want you to come here to make us better. But if they're seeing that the current secondary can't do anything, why is that going to want to make them come there?
I understand that, George.
I mean, my friend here mentioned, he said A&M relied too much on Mon's ability to pass. And towards the end of the game, which they did, and it was just kind of like the UCLA crumble last year that we here in Aggieland don't like to talk about because
wasn't that like the first game of the season, right?
Yeah, Desmond, that was the 34-point lead that we gave up because we started passing the ball. We didn't run the ball. We didn't take time off the. We didn't take clock off of the. We didn't take clock off. There you go. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
And
you didn't chew the clock.
Right. We didn't chew the clock. Thank you. Yeah. And here we very much the same way. We had that lead, and all we had to do was maybe score one more, ice it with that field goal, and keep running the ball. Auburn was probably going to score it again to make it, I don't know, maybe 21-27. So they were going to get the ball back with a chance to win. But your defense, that's when your defense has to come up big, and instead our secondary is standing there with open hands in the end zone, like not even, they go up for the ball, but the Auburn receivers and Stidham, who's a great quarterback, is just going to outpass and find a way to get it into the receiver's hands.
Right.
I agree with you. I think the last 2 games we played should have been wins. And looking back at the beginning of the season, I don't think anyone would have expected this close of a loss to either team.
No.
And that bad of a loss. But I think, speaking of bad teams, I really think that A&M against a poor Ole Miss team who's 1-4 in the SEC right now, I think they will have to bounce back. Not just will bounce back, they have to bounce back. And being in front of a home crowd at Kyle Field that may not be energized because they, gave
up on the season.
I don't want to say gave up on the season. That's not necessarily a proper term, but just has been crumbling lately. But again, Ta'amu at the Ole Miss quarterback can put up points, and I think A&M's going to have to win a shootout, possibly. So be careful. Ole Miss really can't play good defense. They can if they need to, but they're coming into Kyle Field. They've been pretty good, but Kyle Field, we haven't had a home game for a while. Last game was that overtime win against Kentucky, which, by the way, I think is what is keeping Kentucky in the rankings, because that is they had 2 losses, to Georgia last week and A&M prior to that. I really think that's what's keeping them in the rankings, because the Georgia loss made them look bad, and
but
we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to hold your thoughts for just a second. But I think the Aggies will exploit the bad defense, especially against the run that Ole Miss has. And despite the 11 a.m. early kickoff, get one at Kyle Field again. Keep that one loss to Clemson as the only loss at Kyle Field, 38-24, and we become bowl eligible. Hallelujah.
Great speech, George.
What about you?
I agree. A&M gets the win, 33-17. I'll give him a little bit more cushion. And tying into our next section, I would like to say that I strongly believe, that if Ole Miss replayed Texas Tech with the experience Bowman has, we would win that game.
But handedly, Desmond, handedly. I think the only reason why y'all lost, 1, because it was a neutral site game, and 2, because you lost your starting quarterback in first quarter.
First quarter.
Yeah.
And Bowman had no experience then, and Wesley hadn't had time to develop the receiver he has become today.
And also, you have to look at Bowman. Now, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. I'm not going to say he's going to do anything, maybe not win there
are a lot of good, you got Will Greer and Kyler, but he's definitely in the the argument, he's definitely there.
Yeah.
He can compete with them. He has proven that against both of them.
And I think that's what he did against OU, is they played a near perfect...
Before he got injured,
They played a near perfect first half. I mean, I watched the last 2 minutes of the first half because I was watching LSU Bama, but I watched the last 2 minutes of the first half of OU Tech, and I loved what I saw from Tech. The intensity was there. OU looked like they were struggling. Bowman gets hurt to end the first half. Okay, he goes to the locker room.
He got injured during warm-ups.
Okay, Desmond, I don't know how true this is, but there was a rumor, and I did hear that Bowman did get into a fight in the locker room, which caused him that when he came out for warm-ups, he was he just couldn't go anymore.
Which makes it even more mad because originally I heard that he get hit by a football or something. But if he got in a fight, that's just, come on, you're in the middle of an OU Tech game. You can't risk that. And you're playing well.
I mean, but again, give Duffy some credit, because the offense kept moving. Okay.
He had a slow start though, which allowed Oklahoma to come back and get their lead.
Right. Okay, but then it kept moving, and it didn't just. Okay, it wasn't 51-25 like we all said.
No.
And I think if Texas Tech had gotten the 2-point conversion that was returned for the pick for the 2 points, 2 points going to OU. I think if Texas Tech had gotten that to tie the game, we'd be looking at a much different score here.
Oh yeah.
We might even be looking at a Texas Tech victory, because the way that they were playing up to that point was pretty good, and then that just it just went downhill from there. Oklahoma runs down some clock, scores a touchdown, and then Texas Tech is put in a spot where they're down by 11 with less than 3 minutes to go. You can't really do anything.
I mean, that is what happens when you play my man, Kyler Murray. But let me say this. He did throw 2 interceptions, one early in the game, which I was very surprised by.
Oh, he threw 2, didn't he? Didn't he throw 2?
He threw 2. He threw 2, one very early in the game. It was like right off the bat.
It was the first pass he had.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, like, that was early. That was quick. We scored the next drive. But Texas Tech had 0 turnovers, which I'm very proud of. But here's a huge stat. They gave up over 300 yards rushing.
Who? OU?
No, Texas Tech gave up 300 yards rushing.
Oh my gosh.
And 100 of those came from Murray.
What?
Yes, he had 100 yards rushing.
Oh my gosh.
It's just, but I think, I'm going to say this very boldly. I think this game, since we kept it close against a very good Oklahoma team, in my argument, top 4, I think Cliff Kingsbury will be back next year.
Oh, I think so too. I think if anything, that win just the way that he's been playing, that win over TCU, and yes, TCU's not that great, but just the wins that he's had right now and the competition level he played against West Virginia, and just the mentality he set forth. I don't really think, looking back, I don't understand why we had put him on the hot seat to begin with. Yes, he wasn't getting production, but now showing what he can do with a backup quarterback in Bowman. And correct me if I'm wrong, is the starter going to be coming back next year? Like, did he get a medical red shirt?
I do not know.
I mean,
but even if he does come back, I don't see him getting his job back. To be honest,
you think Bowman would be the starter?
Yes.
And Duffy would be the backup? Or do you think this?
I think the starter would come in the backup.
Okay. I think,
but I don't see Bowman losing his job. No. He's done great this season.
No, and I think the thing that makes him really good is that Kingsbury. All you have to do is give Kingsbury some time, a few weeks with a quarterback, and he can develop them. He can develop them to whatever he wants to make them. And obviously, he's made Bowman into a quarterback that can compete in the Big 12, that can throw it, that can run it if he needs to. And obviously, that running may have hurt him. And I don't know. Supposedly, he collapsed his lung again. So it might be Duffy to start, which, again, like we just mentioned, give Kingsbury some time to develop him. I still think Texas Tech is going to upset Texas. That's my upset of the week again, folks. You heard it here early. I'll mention it later, but I think Texas Tech is going to upset Texas. I think they're struggling. Texas has had 2 straight losses, Oklahoma State and West Virginia last week. West Virginia was close, but I think Texas, you can't go into Lubbock playing like how Texas is right now. You cannot go into Lubbock and expect to win. Texas Tech is dominant. Texas Tech will win by a touchdown in a shootout, in a good old Big 12 shootout. And I think Texas Tech now being out of the Big 12 championship race, because I mean you need 6 teams to lose, and that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
they can start to play the spoiler role and start ruining other people's seasons. And I think it starts next week with Texas.
And I just want to give a shout out to Antoine Wesley. I think he is under the radar receiver. Very good.
Yes.
But yeah, I have to go with you, Texas Tech winning. I guess this will be my upset of the week too.
Oh, okay, okay. What do you have?
41-28.
28 or 38?
28.
Oh, so pretty big margin. Okay.
I do. But you see, if Bowman comes back, which I think he will, if he plays, then yes. If not, then I'll look at a 1-9 upset record.
I mean, Desmond, remember I'm 4-5, so I'm not even. I was just at 500.
Yeah, but you have a chance to get to 500, man.
Nah, you're looking like Rice. You just and UTEP. Speaking of Rice and UTEP, they're not teams in the top 25, but we are. I mean, sorry, Rice. I mean, not to roast you, but But we do have some teams after this new top 20. The college football playoff rankings came out last night during the college basketball intermission that we had
Hmm.
between Michigan State, Kansas, and Kentucky Duke. And we saw some surprising things. Syracuse at 13. I think they could reach top 10 if they setting up a big showdown with Notre Dame in a few weeks. And I wouldn't be surprised. You heard it here, but I wouldn't be surprised if game day goes there. Looking at the schedule, there really is no other game that game day would go to. I mean, maybe like, I think that's the same week as. Actually, no. I would think that would be the front runner for game day because there really is nothing else unless they're going to go to some small school like they usually do, sometime in the season. West Virginia, I really think should have jumped Washington State and LSU. I did not
Yes, that's what I was going to talk about.
I don't like how LSU only dropped 4 spots
Right,
to
with 2
Bama.
losses.
To
Mhm.
Bama, I mean, yes, you lost 29 at home on Saturday night, but that doesn't mean that Bama's so good and we're just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. It just shows you that the committee likes that strength of schedule metric to debate on who should be over each other. But I still think LSU maybe should have been 10, not 7 like they are right now. Your thoughts?
I agreed. I was wondering why West Virginia was not higher up than LSU. And didn't you have LSU winning last week? And I said, George,
I
what are you
did.
talking about?
I
Do you
did.
not see this Alabama team?
I did, but I thought
You know-
this was going to be like Corso, like the guys mentioned on game day. They said this was going to be the biggest test for Alabama going on the road to Death Valley. LSU was going to be able to match them toe to toe. Yes, Devin White was not going to be playing first half, but they were still going to match toe to toe. And obviously, we got more of Tua than we expected, and he stepped up. Saban coached his team well. I mean, I can't deny that my pick was wrong, but I just think this Bama team is for real, and I don't see why not they will go win the national championship.
The only good thing LSU did was give Tua his first interception.
Yes.
That's the only good thing they did.
And
But whenever you can almost throw for 300 yards, and then you have your average rush for almost 300 yards, that's a dominant team right there. You can't compete against that. And you get shut out. Like, I was watching the game with my dad, and my dad was like they were talking about, oh, they're doing a good job with Tua, but you can't do that whenever you can't move the ball.
right.
You know?
I mean,
Like, that quarterback was under pressure, and he looked like he couldn't do anything out there.
I think the first 8 possessions that LSU had all resulted in punts.
Yes, you can't move the ball against that defense. You know, when you have a good quarterback in Tua, and then
Okay, I get it, Desmond. I get it. I made a wrong pick. I made a wrong pick.
I'm just making sure you don't do it again, George.
No, I mean, all I'm saying is I'm taking the spread and big against Mississippi State. That Mississippi
Yes,
State and Bama
yes.
play this week. And,
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah, if Joe Burrow couldn't get it done against Bama, I don't think Nick Fitzgerald will be able to.
If Alabama loses Mississippi State, I will shave my head bald for the rest of the year.
Oh,
I said it. I said right now, George.
Are you really?
I will.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I will repeat that again because I need the listeners to hear this. If Mississippi State and Nick Fitzgerald beat Alabama this week, Desmond will shave his head for the rest of the season.
Yeah, college football season.
College football season.
I will do it.
Wow. Bold statement. Now, Desmond, what do you think about UCF staying put? No movement, no up or down. What do you think of them? I just laugh.
You know what? I don't really have a preference because they're not good enough to be in the top 4.
Oh, I agree with that.
Well, I could also see how they feel a little disrespected. You know, they haven't moved up. They're undefeated, yes, but the strength of schedule is also something to be questionable with.
And also,
the reason-
how do you beat a Temple team who's decent at best by only like 11 or whatever it was? How do you expect, if you're going to get that type of win, yes, it's a win, but how do you expect to even be ranked in the top 10 if you're barely beating these decent, mediocre teams?
Right, exactly.
I I mean, I'll be whoever they play in the New Year's Six Bowl that they get to, because they're going to be the top ranked group of 5, unless they lose, which I don't think they're going to lose. Then they're going to get whooped. They're going to get whooped. Auburn should have whooped them last year. This year, I think they're saying it could be NC State or LSU. Either way, if it's LSU, I'm watching that game just to see how many points LSU will put up on UCF. Not for the matter of like, yes, I may be an Aggie and I don't want LSU to win, but I would love to see UCF lose and finally restore power to the college football world. Because it just, all this talk about UCF this, UCF that. Well, you know what? They're not, unless they play like, unless you get them to schedule Michigan or I don't know, even Kentucky at some point. They're not going to get to the college football playoff. Okay, get that through your head, American Conference. None of you are going to get to the playoff, even if it expands. Even if it expands, you're not getting to the playoff. Just a big sigh there, just a rant.
Very big sigh.
But I have a theoretical situation. I want your take on it, and pretty quickly here, so we can move forward. Let's say Notre Dame loses to Syracuse in a few weeks. Michigan wins out. The Big 12 champion will have 2 losses, so that's OU losing to West Virginia, but then beating them in the Big 12 championship the following week. And Clemson beats a crappy ACC team in their conference championship. And finally, SEC only gets 1 team in, meaning Bama beats Georgia in the SEC championship. Who would you take who would you take as the top 4?
Can you repeat some of that, please?
Okay,
that was a lot.
Okay, I'll review. Okay, you might want to write this down if you need to.
All right. Yeah.
If Notre Dame loses to Syracuse, which is not this week, but the following.
So making them a 1-loss team.
Correct. Michigan wins out.
Okay.
With their only loss being the Notre Dame.
Okay.
The Big 12 champion has 2 losses. So that's either OU or West Virginia, depending on who you take.
Wait, so both the 2 Big 12 teams have 2 losses?
Essentially. And the champion's going to have 2 losses. And Clemson beats a crappy ACC team in the conference championship. So that's saying like Pitt or Virginia or Virginia Tech, even some garbage team. And the SEC only gets 1 team in. Who makes the top 4?
Woof.
That would mean you'd have Notre Dame, Michigan, and Notre Dame and Michigan, and we'll say Washington State wins out. So you'd have Washington State, Michigan, and Notre Dame all at 1-loss teams.
All right, I would honestly say
Bama 1,
Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and the Big 12. Whoever had the 2 losses, that would be my top 4.
So you would put a Michigan, a 2-loss Big 12 champion over a 1-loss Michigan.
Yes, I would.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Isn't that how the committee works?
I mean, it does.
Big 12 champion goes in automatically.
No, they value champion.
Exactly.
They value the championship.
Now that would be I think it should be based off record, but that's how it works. The Big 12 champion is going to make it in.
Okay, but I said Michigan wins out, and that would be assuming, let's say, they win the Big 10 championship.
Well, you said.
Yeah, I said Michigan wins out. They would only have 1 loss.
So then that would switch everything because they most likely would. Okay. I misheard you.
Okay, you're good.
Then yes, Michigan.
Okay.
It'd be the same top 4 as now.
Okay, so that's what people are talking about. Is this top 4 might be the top 4 we see in December?
Yes.
Which I'm thinking it probably will. Like our guest who's going to get up here soon was mentioning to me. He said, this top 4 is probably going to all win out or somewhat stay the same, and we're not going to see much movement. So I'm curious to see what the Big 12, what the committee will say. But we got to keep moving forward here so we can get to our picks and everything. But
next section is my section, baby.
Speaking of moving forward, how about some basketball? Finally in college basketball season. It's the one part of the year that we got 2 sports going on at the same time that are pretty big spotlight highlights. And let's just talk about Duke. The two games that were really big: Michigan State, Kansas, Duke, Kentucky. Any thoughts?
I'm not even worried about the Kansas game, George. There is no team that can compare to the raw talent Duke has right now. Do you see, George? They beat Kentucky by 34 points.
Yeah, they put up put up the most points that Calipari has ever allowed as the Kentucky head
George,
coach.
no, George. They put up 84 points. Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, and Cam Reddish all combined for 83 points.
Isn't that like 80% or whatever of the points?
Yes, George. Those three guys alone almost scored more than the whole Kentucky team.
Jeez, that's crazy.
It just baffles me. Like, I think this is one of the strongest Duke teams I have watched because I like to watch Duke basketball in a while. You know.
I mean, I don't doubt it. I just think that, I mean, it's game one. Okay, first off, it's game number one.
Well, a very strong game run.
Yes, a strong game number one. It'll be interesting to see how Kentucky bounces back.
But Kentucky's always a strong team, you know.
Good point. But it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back and move ahead. No big upsets yet. We'll check in next week.
But also, just a shout out to, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Hichimura, put up 33 points for Gonzaga. He's projected to be the first Japanese player to ever be drafted in the NBA draft. Wow. So I wish him good luck throughout the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and I think A&M does play Gonzaga this season, so that will be a good showdown.
I know Tech plays Duke, but it's gonna be away during a break. So
Tech plays Duke.
Yeah, they played Duke this year.
Oh, poor Texas Tech. I mean, at this point, whoever
I'm gonna put this on the air now. Sorry, my early Final Four prediction: Duke, Kansas, UNC, and Gonzaga. All right, so in March, if that happens.
So wait, hold on, Desmond. It's November.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now, George.
So what was that? I gotta write it down here. What was that? Duke.
Kansas.
Okay.
UNC.
Okay.
Gonzaga.
Some blue bloods and Gonzaga. Okay, I like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, if I had to pick 4 teams right now, I'd go Duke.
No doubt.
I'd go Duke, Syracuse.
Ooh.
No, Duke, Syracuse. I would have to go with Virginia. I like to see them bounce back.
I thought about them too. Yeah.
And so Duke, Syracuse, Virginia, and I need an upset. Honestly, I like in the Big Ten. I like Michigan.
All right.
Wagner's coming back. No? Oh, sorry. Wagner's not coming back. I thought he was. No, he got drafted. That's right. He got drafted. He's with the Lakers. That's right. My bad. I still think Michigan's gonna make a statement, but watch out for Georgia in the SEC. They got Tom Crean, and they've got a pretty good defense and some good players that can be on the offensive side. So just watch out for them. So so I'm going Duke, Syracuse, Virginia, and Michigan.
Okay.
I bet 3 of those are right.
Yeah, I bet 2 of mine are right.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, Duke.
So speaking of being right and being wrong, I'd like to thank Clay Grogan for coming out last week. He went 4 and 3 last week. That's including the Tech and A&M games. If you just count the 5 for 5, he went 3 and 2.
And I went 5 and 2. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean Desmond, you can get all those. You can get everything else right except for your upset.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just maybe it just happens like that, you know.
Yeah.
So, our guest picker this week, he's another freshman sports management major, because if we're all in this field, we might as well get used to being in the, keeping us used to sports and up to date. So my good friend Zach Stovall is joining me in studio. Again, no by Skype. Our only Skype guest picker has been Brett, who actually went undefeated. So maybe that's the maybe that's Skype. The luck. You have to Skype in to get the undefeated record. But Zach is hoping to change that, as the both times have been in studio have gone 4 and 3. So Zach, thank you for joining us, and you ready to make some picks?
Yeah, I'm ready. Thanks for having me. Big fan of the show.
I think this week will probably be the easiest week to get.
I think so.
Undefeated.
I think the committee has ranked some games that have been good for us to maybe get back in the record column. Try to just get back to a pretty good record. And as we mentioned earlier, our upsets, Desmond and I have the same upset. We were both going with Texas Tech over Texas. So we will not be making an upset pick in these 5 for 5. But Zach looks like he does have an upset pick. But
I think I know which one his is. I'm gonna wait for it, and I hope he says what I was thinking about. So we'll see.
But we'll get to that at the end. So we'll start with our first one. Ohio State ranked 10th. All these rankings are college football playoff rankings. So Ohio State is 10th ranked. They go on the road to East Lansing to face the Spartans. Michigan State 18th ranked. Pretty good one. Last year we had a really good one. This is again that was a heck of a game last year in Columbus. Excuse me. Buckeyes will get tested on the road, survive last second field goal, and they will get a touchdown in overtime. 34-31, Ohio State. Desmond, what do you got?
I had a pretty big margin, 37-17, Ohio State. I think they'll win up until they have to play Penn State. Wait.
You mean Michigan?
Yeah, I'm so stupid. Mulligan. I've been Michigan because Michigan played Penn State and showed how dominant they were. That's what I meant to say.
Correct.
So I think Ohio State's, honestly, if I were them, I'd be a little worried right now. I'd be worried.
So I think that's a good pick, Ohio State. What about you, Zach?
So I think that Ohio State is overrated.
Oh.
Ooh.
I'm going to tell you why, Desmond. They barely beat Nebraska.
No, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
2-7 Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to Purdue.
Mm.
They barely beat Penn State, who is not very good.
Oh, they're decent.
They got blown out.
Okay, they're decent.
And they barely beat TCU. They had a big fourth quarter, and that's the only reason why they won.
Are you calling upset?
I'm not calling upset.
Mm-hmm.
I think Urban Meyer knows how to get his team motivated. They will win 24-21, but it will be close.
Okay.
I that's a pretty good pick. I think that's. You make some good points there. Yes,
They
their loss is
they have to win.
Yeah, their loss.
Maybe they are a little overrated.
Yeah, their losses to Purdue.
So was Clemson.
They barely beat Nebraska last week. Which, if you watch that game, Nebraska was in control until about halfway through the fourth quarter when Ohio State finally got the offense clicking. So, good point, Zach. And I think Ohio State will not make it to the playoff. I really don't think unless.
No.
I think even if they beat Michigan, even if they beat Michigan and go to the Big Ten championship, which I don't think, do they have a chance still?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Then even then, I don't think they'd get in.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting in and continue some dominance, the bet on the line with Desmond, head being shaved. The Bulldogs and Nick Fitzgerald, Mississippi State, 16th ranked, traveled to Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa to T-Town to face the Crimson Tide. I just got 3 words for you. Tua, offense, domination. 49-13 Bama, and it's over at halftime. Before halftime.
George, come on, man. I had 67-9. George.
Wait. Repeat that?
67-9, George.
Good.
There's no competition. No competition. I mean, George, I'll just leave it there. I want to see how close this game is. I bet you they at least put up 50 points. Bama does.
Wow.
They've been putting up 50 points against every other team.
I think so too, but I don't know. What about you, Zach? I hope you go Alabama.
Yeah, I'm going with Alabama, but it's going to be closer than y'all think it's going to be.
Ooh.
Alabama is coming off a huge week with LSU.
29-0.
Nick Fitzgerald is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow. It'll be 35-21.
Ooh, you're keeping it real. I think
Desmond.
that'll be the closest game Alabama's had all
Yes,
season.
that's what I'm saying. Closest
Mississippi
game.
State.
Yes.
You realize the closest game that they've played was A&M?
Yes, actually, yes. My brother-in-law said that the closest game they've had was against A&M.
Yeah. Which is funny because, I mean, maybe we should still be ranked. I don't know.
Okay, George. Don't flatter yourself,
That's-
buddy. You lost to Mississippi State and Auburn.
All of our losses are ranked.
Be quiet. Be quiet. Okay.
I mean, if y'all had beaten Mississippi State and Auburn, I'd be like, let's get this. Hey, y'all pretty good. But now, come on, man.
So speaking of the SEC and a team that we just lost to, the Deep South's oldest rivalry goes to the hedges and gets between the hedges as Auburn takes on Georgia. In the top 25 matchup, Auburn is ranked again, 24th.
Barely.
Georgia is just outside of the top 4, on the outside looking in. Home field advantage, and the hedges gets Georgia the win, 38-28. I'm taking a little bit more of a conservative route this week. I realize I need to get my record up instead of having a crappy going to upsets all the time. So Georgia wins by 10. Desmond, what do you have?
I agree, George. Georgia still a dominant team. They're ranked 5th. If they beat Alabama, they have a chance they'll be in the playoffs. I said if. Come on. Georgia wins 41-27.
Good pick. Zach?
So Auburn and Georgia played each other twice last year. Both were blowouts, but by the other team, like 2 separate teams. I think this year it's going to be a close game because Auburn's going to be playing off their momentum they had last week that they built up in the 4th quarter against us. But I still think Georgia's going to win. It's going to be a close one, 28-17.
Good pick. I think it will be close. That game is at night, actually, for one of the first times in a while. It is a 6:30 kickoff instead of being the 2:30 kickoff because that's going to be taken by Mississippi State, Alabama. Just in time for what is supposedly the quote-unquote biggest game of the week. Game day is traveling to Chestnut Hill in Boston College.
Boston.
I have to say it like that, Boston. Their second ever trip to Boston College. Just in time for the Clemson Tigers, ranked 2nd, to give them a piece of their mind. They get a big road test in the ACC. This will decide the Atlantic Division in the ACC. Winner will go to the ACC championship game. So Clemson's got to win this one if they want to stay alive in the playoff. Last time, I just want to mention this. Last time that Clemson went on the road and game day was there, look what we did to them. Almost got that win here in College Station. But this week, Boston College, all the hype that game day is going to bring, comes just in time for the Tigers to give a beat down to the Eagles. 42-23 Clemson. And it might even be bigger.
George, this was the game I was talking about where it was going to be my upset pick.
Oh.
And I looked at my record and I was like, I don't want to risk it. But, I'm changing. I got Boston College winning this game. 31-27.
So is that your upset?
No, I'm still sticking with my Red Raiders.
But Boston College will win this game.
Yes, they will win this game.
Wow.
I hope they do. Because if they do, Clemson will not be in the playoffs.
Oh, yes, for sure. What was your final score on that?
31-27.
Zach?
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen, Desmond. I'm sorry, buddy. But Clemson will win. They're going to roll them 38-13. I won't be surprised if Clemson scores more. Trevor Lawrence is on fire.
Oh, yes. The girl hair is on fire.
We'll see.
In our final game of this 5
Kyle Murray, baby.
Is Bedlam, and this year it really doesn't look like that big of a Bedlam series, as Oklahoma State is riding in with some momentum with the Texas win, and I think they had a bye last week. Is that correct?
Who?
Oklahoma State.
I think so.
No, they did. They lost to who?
Baylor.
Oh, sorry, they lost to Baylor on that last second touchdown. That's right. So they'll ride some momentum from their last time they had a big win over a top 20 team, but OU, it's in Norman. Sooners survive an upset bid by the Cowboys. 45-38 OU.
You think this is gonna
But
be close, George? You think?
But I think it
we're
could
talking
be.
about Kyler Murray here.
I know Kyler Murray's your Heisman favorite, but look, cut me some slack. OU, in the last few years they've played this Bedlam game at home, it's always been close. Okay? Whenever they go on the road to Oklahoma State is when you get the blowouts. But it's always been close at home. So watch it continue.
Interesting.
Watch that trend to continue. Desmond, what do you have? I hope you have OU.
42-24 OU. Yeah.
Yeah, Kyler Murray will be the best quarterback in this game, and he will win. But Zach, I hope you agree with that.
Bedlam is always Bedlam, but no, OU's gonna roll 45-17. Oklahoma State is they're too spotty. They're not very consistent.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I got friends over at Oklahoma State, but you know.
So Zach, you did mention you had an upset, and I'm looking at your picks, and I'm seeing that you picked just about the favorite on all of them. Yeah. And I'm curious what your upset is going to be, since maybe you're going to ride the upset train with Desmond and I with the Red Raiders.
No, sir. I'm going to tell you this: I'm an A&M fan. I'm a huge A&M fan, but Texas is the best team in Texas, in the state of Texas. And they will beat Tech 42-31. That's not my upset pick. I'm just doing the ones y'all did earlier. A&M will win 23-14. We don't know how to beat teams big. And then my upset pick is South Carolina over Florida.
Okay.
I mean, Florida's been struggling. I would have taken that one any day of the week. But, I think of the 7 games we pick, I think the Texas one's got the biggest a margin for an upset.
Actually, George, change my upset pick to Boston College.
Oh
my gosh, Desmond.
You're jumping off the train?
Sorry, George, I'm sorry.
77 last week.
I'm not scared.
Desmond, I'm just going to say this. When it's 55-20 something, I will text you with a meme that says, "What did I do?" Because you are obviously making decisions just right off here haphazardly rather. Thank you, Zach, for joining us. We're gonna finish off here with some small school outlook. UNT gets Old Dominion on the road. They'll go and win. They're gonna get a pretty good bowl. They're not gonna win the Conference USA Championship because they don't have a chance anymore. That's gonna be the UAB or Louisiana Tech. But how about them? How about them Sun Devils in Tempe?
Old Dominion, George. Come on. Why don't you beat someone of a little stature, like a number 16th ranked team in Utah?
Is Arizona State ranked? Yeah, I didn't think so.
15th. I'm sorry. They were top 15. Ooh.
Yeah, but is Arizona State ranked now? No.
No, but they do have the same record as A&M, so yeah.
Way to rub it in the face, Dylan. Way to rub it in the face.
Nah, but I told you last week they'd give them a fight. I don't expect them to win.
Who do they play this week?
They play UCLA.
Oh, that's a win. UCLA is like the trash that's in my trash can right now. If I lit it on fire, it would probably beat UCLA. I'm just gonna say that blatantly. I'm sorry, Bruins fans. If any of y'all listening are Bruins fans, you're having a rough year. Chip Kelly needs some help.
Oh, Chip.
You know the meme that's like, "Stop it, go get some help." It's Michael Jordan.
I don't actually know that one.
That's a good meme. You have to go look it up. That's what UCLA needs. But I think we'll leave it at that. We'll keep this conversation opening for episode number 11 next week.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And thank you, Zach, for joining us. Again, if you want to give us your feedback or want to be a guest and you're not in the College Station or Lubbock area and want to Skype in, give us an email at the Q5podcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the 5Q Podcast. Signing off for the 10th time this season and 10th overall. I'm George Clough and Desmond McLaughlin in Lubbock. So long. Rackham Tech, Gig'em Aggies, and I think we need some good luck charm for Desmond's hair. So go Tide, roll, and see you guys next week. Adios.